It's mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got Mitch. We got Jackie Boyd.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good timing. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there. He's punching me in the stomach like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Ochico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochico can practice today. And I was like, I look back and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
On the spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to go to the show. I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about that?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today is Monday, October 9th. We have a wonderful show for you today. It is Monday, which means it is our legal education day. We have the
Test day.
We have the test day. No pop quizzes here. We don't do any of that. We have Keith Ricardo, attorney at law for the Gordon Law Firm, for Get Gordon, for the G team. He is in here. We appreciate you being here as always, like you are every Monday. Last Monday, finger was on the panic button. It wasn't pressing it on the panic button. Football, LSU football, not great. They got dragged through the mud defensively against Ole Miss. Had a loss. Felt like you probably should have won that game. Saints didn't look any better. They looked maybe a little worse. They lost. Now you fast forward a week, a lot of changes. LSU made some adjustments. Still didn't look great. Wasn't perfect on defense. Played better, made some plays when they had to. Offense obviously continued to do what they needed to do. Major Burns did everybody a huge solid. Pick 6 covered for everybody who took the 5.5. I was one of those guys, so I appreciate that. LSU goes and gets a big road win against a ranked team with a really good offense, right? Fix some of the issues. Still have to have some things to work on. At least you can look at film and say there are some positives. The Saints come back after a bad loss. They go on the road in New England against a team that's historically hard to play against in New England. They go ahead and they beat them 34-0. They don't score a point. Defense looks great, obviously. Offense looks awesome. Tyrann Mathieu has a pick 6. There's just a lot of really good things, a lot of really positive things for Louisiana football and Louisiana sports in general. So that's very exciting. Obviously, college football slate in general was very interesting. I think Georgia showed you that they're real. I think people were kind of wondering, oh, what's the deal? What's going on there? What's the situation? Their defense is good. They're not scoring many points. They kind of squeaked by Auburn. They didn't really know what was going on. All of a sudden, you look like they're playing Kentucky. Kentucky is Georgia's favored by 14.5 against Kentucky. Kentucky's undefeated. They feel like they kind of can give Georgia a test. Georgia says not so fast, beats them 52-20 or something crazy like that. Absolutely blows their doors off. So they move on, right? So Georgia seems like they're the class of the SEC. They're still ranked number 1. AP comes out. They're ranked number 1 in the AP poll. LSU moves up a spot to 21. Texas loses to Oklahoma. Oklahoma moves all the way up to 5. They're undefeated. I think they've been kind of sneaky throughout the course of this college football season. But college, you're right in the middle of it. So now you're going to start seeing a lot more rivalry games, a lot more, games are going to get a little tougher. That's not right English. A little tougher.
Correct English.
Pressure's going to start to mount on some of these teams that maybe haven't been in these types of situations. Notre Dame gets beat by Louisville. Notre Dame, a family. That was the Brian Kelly accent for Notre Dame. Notre Dame gets beat by Louisville, who is undefeated. They move down. I think they are maybe right before LSU, right after LSU in the AP poll. But this is kind of when stuff starts to really shape out. They really get the opportunity to see who's real, who's not. Notre Dame plays USC next week, so that game's going to be kind of a make or break for USC. They almost lost to Arizona. They had to go triple overtime. So college football in general is getting really interesting. We are not here just to talk about college football. We're talking about all sports. Major League Baseball, the playoffs are going on right now. They have been electric. I think everybody who watched the regular season of Major League Baseball regular season just expected the Atlanta Braves to cruise on through the postseason and get to the World Series. It does not seem like that is going to happen. Not necessarily they're not going to get there, but it doesn't seem like they are in a is that what you're laughing at? Over my shoulder? Over my shoulder. It doesn't look like it's going to be as easy of a route for them as they had once thought. They were one of the better teams in baseball. They're obviously playing a division rival in the Philadelphia Phillies. They're hot. Philadelphia is now up, I think, 2-0. Is it 2-0 in Game 2 of this? 3-0 in Game 2 of this. They have their ace on the mound for the Phillies do. And
Probably plus 3,000.
Atlanta, yep. That was a good. He took plus 3,000 for them to win the World Series. Nice little future.
Future
there.
Lloyd might be back.
Future Lloyd never goes anywhere.
No, he's always never in the present.
Oh my gosh, we got special guest. You better be on your P's and Q's here.
I'll be on it.
You got to be on your P's and Q's because Boss Man is in the building. You came in at the perfect time. What's up, G?
Very nice to see you, buddy.
What's up, G?
What's up, Mikey?
You came at the perfect time.
Yeah, look at this guy. What's happening?
Playing your theme music.
We got to play my theme music. Look at this guy. This guy's ready. Look, you can sit right there. He's got the bag ready for you.
Oh, you got the bag coming? Yeah, not for me.
Look, he's gonna sit right there.
All right, I'll get here.
Gee, we appreciate you. I know you had some, flight issues maybe, but you're here. Surprising him. He asked me if you were coming. I was like, I don't think he's gonna be here. But you're here.
Had a little travel delay last night and this morning, but it all worked out.
You made it. We appreciate you. Look, we
Glad
had the
to be
bag
here,
ready.
huh? No bag. No, that bag.
No bag.
No bag needed.
We're gonna-
Ready when it
We're gonna
happens,
get to
yeah.
you, right? So we came in with the bag yesterday, or last week with the eyes,
Right.
ready to say, you know what, I quit. I don't want to be a fan anymore of Saints or LSU. I'm over it. This is embarrassing. And they go and win this week. What did you like about what they won this week? That's it. It works. It works.
Look, I was in a bad state of mind last week. That's about the only way to put it. But this week, look, we're right here. We're right here.
Yes. We don't need that
Back
anymore.
at it. We don't
We're
need
back
that
at it.
right now.
There we go.
It's time to get fired up again.
Okay, what fired you up? What did you like about this weekend?
Look, so obviously with the Tigers, again, offense, firing on all cylinders. You have no complaints.
I like for Jay. I do have a complaint. Just Jay needs to just sit down. Sometimes slide. Maybe sneak out of bounds a couple times. I don't like the hits, but anyway.
Look, I love the toughness by him, but we do have to have him playing smart.
Yep.
You know,
No
doubt.
we
Have him
do
playing.
Have him playing smart.
Yeah, we need him playing. Yeah.
Right. We need him on the field. But every position group really on offense was dominant. You know, defense, we still have a lot that we need to work on. But they came through in a couple situations, made some clutch plays.
It's a big difference, right?
Big difference.
They had a couple big plays. They gave up big plays, but they had a couple big plays, got them off the field, made them 4th and 32 or 4th and 35 at one point with the strip sack that wasn't a fumble recovery, which I don't know how we didn't get it, but we didn't get it. They got it, but they were 4th and 35. So made some big plays, right? That's a big thing.
Yeah.
Defensive line played better.
They played a lot better. They finally got a push up front.
They must have listened to you.
Yeah, I must have. They must be tuning in.
All right,
on my
linebackers, Whit Weeks played well again. Did you
Yeah.
give him, you called him, gave
him a buzz, you know. But he's been playing lights out.
They saw the tackling breakdown.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. You saw
was
he
tackling them.
Look, he broke down really well. You showed Harold Perkins how to drop in coverage. He made an interception. That's a big play.
That was awesome. We actually looked like we knew what we were doing in zone coverage on that play.
Yeah.
You know, he's worked his head back and forth from the quarterback to the receiver, got in the passing lane, and made a huge play. That was awesome to see.
You stepped up your energy level. I think it's because Bossman's in town right now. I think that's what happened.
He brings some energy usually, so I'm glad to see it's here tonight.
Well, you just need a little nudge. You just need him to show up. So all these things happen, right? You see some other things that still need to work on. Obviously, some a little bit more miscommunication. They played better. They tackled a little bit better. But at the end of the day, they made plays. They made big plays. They had a couple turnovers. They had the pick six, which I said earlier was helped everybody cover the spread, which was awesome. I was one of those guys that needed that. So that was great. Mason Smith had his best game of the year. He had his first sack of the year, which I think is a huge thing. Moving forward, though, right, out of all the good things they did, what are some things that you want to see even more improvement on moving forward, so I can call them and tell them?
I mean, my biggest thing still, and this is going back to what we've been talking about for weeks, is, you know, defensive backs communicating with each other and making plays on the ball. We still don't really do a good job.
I don't think they know how to turn around.
They don't get their head around.
Like, the ball's in the air, and they're kind of in coverage.
Right.
We talked about this when we were watching it. They're in coverage, but then the ball just goes over their head. They don't have the ball skills to turn around and make the play on the ball.
They're not making that instinctual type play to get their head around and make a play on the ball. And that's just, again, not something we're used to at LSU. We're used to guys that have dominant ball skills.
Do you have an advice for these guys how to show to make if you were covering a guy, right, and you were kind of in trail coverage and you had to go make up and the ball's up, what is your key to say, okay, maybe it's time to turn around and try to make a play on this?
I mean, at some point, you got to read the receiver's eyes. You know, he's telling you everything that you need to know if you're trailing. When those eyes get big and he starts turning his head and his hands start to go up, you got to know the ball's going to be there soon. It's time to get your head around and try to make a play.
I like that. That's good.
So
that's good. That's very educational. How about you? We're here for the education, right? From the G team. I appreciate you allowing Keith going. I want you to explain to everybody, why was it so important for you to get him on this show to show his football knowledge, acumen?
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there's just a little bit above the surface that you're seeing. Mm-hmm. He's still being somewhat reserved. Than the times I've been around him. We really discuss football at hunting camps and other places. Maybe the alcohol has something to do with it.
That's when you start.
That probably could, and maybe I'll allow him to have a couple of drinks before he comes on the show. We'll drive him home or something. But it's just the tip of the iceberg, man. I mean, I haven't seen really a vein protrude through the.
I think we're getting there, man.
We're getting closer.
It's
to
getting
bag,
there, but
it's some veins come out last week.
Yeah,
after that bad defensive performance.
It's almost disturbing how much he gets into it. You really just kind of scratch your head and go, he ain't right. There's something off about
That boy
it.
ain't right.
He ain't right. I mean, it's simple. And I just thought to myself, we've had several of those through our history together. I said, man, that would be just so cool on your show if he could bring that same weird little stuff that he keys in on a play every game. Like, we'll watch a big play. Oh, there's a great thing. Oh, that was bull. I can't say it. That was crap, you know. Did you see what the left guard did? I said, no, nobody sees what the left guard does in that play.
Nobody pays attention to that.
No, who cares? Look at the reception. It was great, you know. But he sees these things, and he gets so worked up about these little minute things that old-time football players really liked. And I just thought it would be great for your viewership to have someone who is 100% LSU, 100% Saints, 100% football.
You are Louisiana football.
This is it. This is the guy. Little undersized.
The little white guy, big cowboy collar.
The collar. That's what old-time Louisiana high school football was. Right?
Don't drug test him.
No, it still is that way. If you go look at St. Thomas More, Catholic High, where'd you go? Rummel?
I went to Rummel.
Big
Rummel,
form
definitely Rummel. Logan Diggs a Rummel guy.
He's a Raider.
I didn't
He's a
realize
Raider.
that until this weekend. We were with Nate Fury, one of our buddies. He was a Rummel guy, so he obviously had a lot to say about all the Rummel athletes that have come through. He included you, obviously.
Appreciate
in
that.
in that conversation. Before we get to the education of the law, right? You like the nuances of football.
Yeah.
Right? We bring in an 82-year-old defensive line coach who's for his sixth stint at LSU. Listen, my dad played football here from 80 to 83. He was my dad's coach in 80 to 83 here, and he coached before that, which blows my mind, right? And so they bring him in. You see the defensive line have a little bit of an improvement, right? They still have some things to work on, but you saw just in 1 week time, the defensive line showed some sort of improvement. What did you see from them, the nuances of football that you felt like, okay, I can see the difference that Pete Jenkins has made?
The first thing that I saw that, I didn't notice before Coach Jenkins got there was we're crowding the line of scrimmage, finally. Like, there were snaps from before he got here to where I'm like, why are we playing so far off the ball? And then the play goes to develop, and it looks like our guys are, we've got high pads and everything like that. But it's really, we're not engaging with the offensive line until we're to the point where we have our chest up. So that was the biggest thing that I noticed just from snap one from when Coach Jenkins got back is we're finally playing up in the offensive line's grill.
I saw a lot of different hand placement.
Yeah.
Right?
He's the king of that.
Yeah.
He's the king of the hands.
Yeah, I mean, you could see they knew how to kind of maneuver through blocks. They weren't just holding on and getting pushed out the way.
You could see it on stunts especially. Like, we're finally, like you said, we're working our hands when we're stunning. We're not just getting off the ball and trying to fill whatever gap we're supposed to be in.
Yeah, to me, as a defensive line, you can attest to this, Jake. You played football here. Like, as a defensive lineman, two of the biggest things for me is if you have the athleticism, which obviously we do on the defensive front. That was supposed to be the strength of LSU. We've talked about this before. Two of the biggest things are, is my alignment and assignment right? Am I lined up where I need to be, and am I going in the direction of where I need to be, or whether it's I'm stunning, or if I'm trying to go into a different gap, am I tight enough, or am I too wide to allow the guy behind me who's supposed to be really making the play have the opportunity to do it? And do I understand what I'm supposed to be doing with my hands to be able to shed blocks and understand my role?
We talked about hand placement, not having a coach in that room for a while. You probably got a lot of guys not really understanding that the closer we get in the trenches, the more the hand fight becomes very, very, very vital to what you're doing, right? It's pretty vital outside when it's a one-on-one with the receiver and you got press coverage on you. Well, press coverage is every play in the trenches, basically, right? So to be able to do that stuff, it matters, right? And so that's what's huge for them. So being able to have a coach in the room who's a specialist at something like that, to kind of bring that back to them and kind of bring that back to the forefront could be huge for them going forward.
100%. 1,000,000%, right? I think that to me, it's just consistent, doing that over and over again, helping with consistency.
You know what that's going to lead to, and I heard a little bit about this last week, talking to a couple of guys on the line, is confidence. These guys, as talented as they are, if you looked at them, they weren't playing like dogs.
No.
There was something missing.
I still think that's where the defensive secondary is, honestly.
I think you're right. I don't think, and one of the guys told me last week, he said, heck, I just want to get coached up. I'm just telling you, they didn't feel completely confident. Like, it's not all the D-line's coach's fault. I mean, he's kind of put in an awkward spot, but they weren't confident. I don't care how big and how strong and how fast you are. when you don't, what am I supposed to do here?
Right.
Yep.
It's a little different. And I think they started getting some confidence last week in practice. I heard just some rumblings that they're looking better. They're coming.
And you could
saw
tell
it on the game, right?
And you
so
could
I think
tell
there was some confidence in there.
Yeah. Speaking of confidence, right? Speaking of getting coached up, this is what you're here to do. And now you are on. You're in the pressure cooker.
Now the pressure's on.
Like he's from the boss. He's got to answer these right.
That's it. You got the head ball coach right next to you.
right.
You're the pressure cooker here, right? So
In the trenches.
yeah. Every Monday you've come in, you've educated us, right? Yeah. We had the first week, it was no pay, no play. Right, and that was part of the insurance if you underinsured motorist, right? Or was that the second?
The second week was.
That was the second week,
motorist.
underinsured motorist. Last week was.
Did a little dog bite liability.
Yep, right, which is very happens. It's very common, whether people believe it or not. And today, Lloyd actually had asked this question, so I'm glad y'all brought it up. Right, Lloyd is the one that everybody thinks, attorneys. They're expensive. We can't afford them. We can't do this. All they want is my money, and I told them.
All I want them to do is keep doing what we're doing over here, which is let's get the NIL deals in order. That's where I want my money to go.
So exactly. So Lloyd, I was like, well, that's not how it really works. I think it's it's a little different. And you're here to tell us about how attorney fees work, right? So if something happens and they're looking to hire representation to represent their interests. And they will call the G team. They call it, hey, Keith, Mr. Ricardo, I need your help. This is what happened to me. How is that structured? How is it structured?
Yeah, so different types of attorneys typically, charge different types of fees. So, for example, like a family law attorney may have what's called a retainer fee and then bill you hourly from that point on. Someone that does wills or estate planning, for example, may charge like a flat rate for a will that they do for you. What we work off of at Gordon McKernan's firm is what we call a contingency fee. So essentially what a contingency fee means is that we don't get paid unless we're able to recover something on your behalf, okay? And this is important, for a number of reasons, okay? The main reason it's important is because this allows those who may not have the ability to risk losing or risk loss. It gives them an avenue to recover for their case.
Right. So, for instance, like if something were to happen, right, and I get hit, rear-ended, something happens, and I cannot afford to hire representation, but I have to go out and get treatment or go to doctor's offices or do these types of things, but I can't really afford that or my insurance doesn't really help with that. How do they combat that type of thing as well as the attorney fee, mixed in together? Do they go hand in hand? Is that separate?
So how it works is, first of all, the client's never responsible for paying anything, okay? We are the ones that are assuming that risk for the case.
Pay attention, Lloyd. This is important.
We're going to go ahead and, we're going to go ahead and front all the medicals and things like that. Okay, the risk essentially is shifted from who our client would be onto us. So if things were to go south, again, client is not responsible for anything. We bear that risk of loss.
Okay. And we talked about it before the show, right? Off air. It gets a little complicated, right? You're simplifying it into terms where really anybody can understand. So to recap this, if something were to happen and I wanted to hire an attorney to represent my interests, and I called you to represent you, and I said, hey, how much does this cost? You're going to say, hey, it does not cost anything to you until we recover some sort of money on your behalf. And at that point, it is a percentage of...
It's a percentage of the settlement.
Okay.
So again, nothing's going to come directly out of your pocket in that situation. It's a percentage of...
That's a pretty good deal to me. Yeah. I mean, that's... Hey, you got to earn your money for me to earn my money.
Look, it works in the client's favor because, we obviously want to do well, okay? So it gives us that extra kick to really, do as well as we can on
pay
our
for
client's
play.
behalf.
That's right.
That's it. That's how it should be. You
Right.
perform.
Yep.
Okay, we give you money, then I get a little cut of my performance for you so that you're able to recover the necessary funds that you need.
So instead of as the client sitting there saying like, man, I think I could probably get this, but I can't afford to get this kind of representation, No, you go ahead and do it because you don't pay anything unless you actually or have something recovered for it.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think that's a
Sounds
pretty
like
good
a win-win deal right there.
I mean, that's a pretty solid deal right there. Well, I appreciate all the education. Always appreciate you coming in with the education, the helmet. It's a little cooler outside, so it's not as hot. You're not sweating as much.
It was definitely a little nicer to wear it today than it was the past couple
He
weeks.
was shitty to put it on today.
Oh,
He was
look,
ready.
I didn't even ask him. He was straight on.
ready.
I think you saw G show up. He's like, I gotta put this back.
Looking for the chin strap.
As we continue to go, though, I'm gonna go get a visor for you. I'm gonna get
do
you a
it.
nice little chin
That'd be awesome.
strap.
Chin strap.
Maybe some an arm
A
sleeve.
collar.
I'm ready to
Cowboy
bust out the
collar.
cowboy collar.
I mean, look, LSU. Here's the deal. Every LSU win in a row, you need to add to the uniform.
I'm
I
in
like
on
that.
it.
If
I'm in on
LSU
it.
goes and wins out the
right.
rest of the year,
Here
you're
we
coming
go.
in full uni.
That's right.
I'm in on that.
Start next week. Yeah.
Perfect. We'll start next week.
Yeah.
I love it. Look,
Ooh, this
you
could
got
be
you got,
saucy.
you got, you got the boss man.
Oh, yeah.
In on
Oh,
studio.
I know he's in on it.
Yeah. Well, dude, as always, I appreciate you coming in. If you want to stay, we can still have a conversation. I would love for you to talk to you for a little bit.
A few minutes with you. If you
Yeah,
want.
great,
Up to you.
absolutely.
It's your show.
It's not my star show. It's the
Yeah,
community
your
show. That's it.
Right.
What I've always wanted to ask, right? Because we've talked a couple times about NIL stuff and how it's an ever-changing world and how things are. When it started, it's way different than when it was. What is now is way different than when it was started, right?
Right.
And now you're having different legislature passed because of it. You have people getting recruited, and all this money is being thrown at them, which I am still not on board with.
Right.
Right. I feel like you got to earn the money and on the.
Agreed.
Well, I can get into that, but that's that's kind of how you have structured sort of these deals with these players, right? And so in your mind, what are some of the things that have changed and caused issues or helped you now from when it started, and what are some things that you wish that what you would see change in the NIL space?
Yeah. I would love there to be some sort of structure. I hate a federal overreach and get involved and really screw things up, but there's got to be some sort of consistency in what we're doing, because there's a lot of rumors out there, and these players, I think, act upon these rumors, and then they start thinking, well, I'm not going there because I can get this at that school. The school makes the promise, never delivers anything. That kid's upset. So it is creating that. It's also, I think, creating. You're starting to see it a little bit more. We're starting to get a little bit more pushback, so to speak, on how much? How much? At first, it was just, I'm thankful I'm getting some money, and now it's getting to be a little bit. I think they're hearing about it from other schools because all these kids are talking now, right? So,
right.
If LSU's recruiting someone, if Tech's recruiting someone, they're going to have the current players who have deals talking to these kids coming up, right? Or even the transfer kids trying to talk them this way. And it's how much and what do you have to do for it? And what the NCAA doesn't want to have happen is just pure pay to play. Right. You play for me. You play for this school. I pay you. And the way we structure things is, I think the way NIL was intended. Right. We sign a kid. We're able to capitalize on his name, image, and likeness. And from that, we get some benefit back in the terms of kid as a partner with us.
Right.
And we're able to publicize that. And he does stuff, whether it's an appearance or it's a posting or a billboard or something. But they're definitely wanting to do less and less,
of course,
but for more money.
Yeah.
So it's getting interesting out there in the space, and there needs to be some sort of agency or something with teeth. I wish the NCAA really had the teeth, but they don't.
And that's part of what we've talked about this, right? So like we both played professional sports, right? And so as a professional athlete, I played for the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
I had Miguel Cabrera, Ian Kinsler, Justin Upton, Verlander, all on my team. You think I was getting paid the same amount they were getting paid off the field? No, because they have performed for a lot longer than I have. They've performed on the field, and they've earned the right to get paid more of that money. And I had to earn that, right? And that was just the way it goes. So to your point, that's why I feel like, listen, you can recruit them with the promise of, hey, this is what we can do for you in the future. Come out here, play well. Once you do well, you have, whatever you deserve or have earned, you have the ability to make that, right? And I think the other side of it, as an athlete side, is whenever you're using that as your only motivation, it takes away from the development of yourself as a man and as a player, and it takes away from a little bit of the chemistry and the culture of the team.
I think so.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you feel that same way?
I think we're watching this change at a rapid pace, which would have taken decades, is now just in a few years. It's changing the fabric of the team. It's changing alliances and love for your university, right? These kids who would come here and spend 4 years and just bleed purple and gold. It's harder for them to do that.
Well, I
And
think
can understand it.
that in conjunction with the transfer portal.
Yeah, just I mean,
because now you have the option to leave
Yeah.
if you don't like what you're
That's
getting in
right.
the NIL space.
Yeah, it
You're
was
like,
the
you
two
get-
of them together, right? NIL without the transfer portal, okay, we can manage that, right?
Right.
But
But
with
now
the
people go in the portal and they're like, well, this team's now people are.
I'll go to law school now.
Well, no, people are in the portal and they're getting offered all this stuff from these schools, and it's like, well, now it's free agency.
That's right.
But the problem is, NFL's got a players union. They have
strict
salary
contracts,
caps.
like they
all
actually
those,
have.
there's no salary cap.
No.
Except,
Right.
all schools except for Texas and A&M have salary caps. Right?
Well, A&M will say, oh, no, we don't.
No, but those two schools literally don't have salary caps. I mean, they can spend whatever. And you're seeing it. You're seeing Texas, right? They lost this weekend, of course, but you're starting to see, when I watch them, they're faster. They're moving different.
Yeah.
They're bigger guys. They're becoming more athletic.
Yep.
They're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And,
But I say when this whole thing started, like just the entire NIL space as it was, and I guess you could say the toothpaste was out of the tube.
Yeah.
Did you envision it changing as much as
No.
it has over the time that it has? And how do you
as
do
quickly as it is? No, it
Yeah.
didn't. And all the little ripples in the pond you don't see when you drop a pebble in it, right? You could see some players like Angel Reese jumping a basketball. She's not going pro.
Right.
She will stay here at LSU as long as she can.
Right.
Right. And you're starting to see it in some of these other sports where it's not as high dollars. And some of these kids, who are getting $1 million plus a year, I don't think they're rushing the pros. There's no guarantee there.
Absolutely.
College, pretty good deal. You get $1 million, you take out a big life insurance policy or a disability policy, boom, you're fine.
No doubt. And I think part of that is you are getting paid that money, right? But at the end, when you're done, right, when you leave college, that money kind of goes away. Some of these higher profile players and athletes are probably going to keep these indoors if they don't make the NFL or NBA or WNBA or wherever. But some of that, the next best person, next best thing is going to come back, and they're probably going to start getting some of those things. I guess my point in saying this, if you go to a school like LSU or any type of big university that's got this pride and tradition and history, and you go out there and you give everything you've got while also making some money on the side, when it's all said and done, let's say something happens, you don't make it to the NFL, you have the ability to come back here and still be able to reap the benefits of the name, image, and likeness because of the attention and because of the dedication you gave to that university. And I think that kind of gets lost a little bit in the shuffle too.
It does. You're better known. You have a platform, right? For those years, you kind of get your name out there, and what you do with that platform and that publicity is up to you, right? Do you really start thinking for a life outside of football and after football, because looking at this present team right now, there are not going to be a ton of guys drafted at the rate we're going. Some things need to change, right? I mean, you really look at there and go, where is our true first rounder? I mean, Harold, he's, I think, going that way. And Mason, I know, is still projected late first round, but he's got to start getting better.
Yeah, Malik.
Malik's first round.
Yeah, Malik's
but the truth of it,
that's right.
The truth of it is,
but that's it. It's one.
It really does.
3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. But it really doesn't matter, right? Because at the end of the day, you play your career here, you go on and play somewhere else. Right. There is the dedication and the effort you have to put in to be able to be successful at those levels. Yeah. It is a very, very, very small percent of people that do that and then don't have aspirations to do anything else after anyway. Right. So it's, like you said, getting into a situation like this and using that platform for what it is while you're here. Right. It's still going to pay dividends for you, no matter what you actually do in the professional career.
They come back to Louisiana.
Right.
That's a big thing. If they come back to Louisiana, they have an opportunity to advance themselves quicker and further because of what's happening.
Right, and you show everybody what you are as a person off the field. Right, you get a little bit more of the personality. And I think that hopefully, it's all positive. But that's also another big thing. But obviously it's always gonna be changing. I don't know if the NCAA hasn't proven to anybody that they're capable of honing anything in and doing anything.
Look what happened.
Right? They're not going to take action. Something's going to have to happen for them to be reactive.
Yeah, it's too hard. You've already let it out.
Look what they did with the North Carolina wide receiver, where they just reneged on whatever happened. They ruled that he shouldn't be at North Carolina, ruled him ineligible. Then they went back on it and said he is eligible. Yeah. 4 weeks later into the year, nothing changed. They just said that they got public pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
They try to be the bullies until the bigger bully comes and they say, I probably got to let me pull back on what I was trying to do. I'm not the big tough guy that I thought. I'm not trying to badmouth the NCAA. They just haven't.
You can.
They haven't given us a lot of goodwill to lean on right now.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what they can do to that, but obviously NIL is always changing. I know I speak on behalf of all LSU fans when I say thank you, because I think you were you were the first guy and still the main guy going out there and putting an onus on himself, saying, listen, this is what we've got to do. This is what everybody else is doing. I'm going to structure it in the way that I think is going to benefit not only my company, but benefit these kids in the future and allow them to understand this is how business works. That's right. This is what you have to do. And you're teaching them more than just, hey, let me get some money and go play on the field. Like, you're teaching them a lot more. So I appreciate that.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And not all of them want to listen, but some of them do. And that's worthwhile.
That's it.
Yeah.
Again, I appreciate that. I'm so happy for this segment. I'm glad that me and Keith get to keep doing this. Listen, I already put you on blast, so now you got him on my team, and you are going to be in full unity before we know it. LSU's going to keep winning. You're going to be full unity.
I can't wait to watch that.
We just birthed this thing right here. So
that's it. I love that. I'm going to call Stringfellow tomorrow and say, I need a uni. Get ready for this uni.
Keith the mannequin's going to be in here. I can't wait.
Let's do it.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
I appreciate y'all for coming on.
Thank you, Mike.
We're going to take a minute break.
Yep.
Let them get situated, move around, and then we'll be back. You're watching Mik'd Up. We're going to have a lot more about LSU football, Saints football, college football. Major League Baseball is on. We're going to talk about all sports the next minute. You're watching Mik'd Up. We'll be right back.
Good enough,
Very experienced in the industry. They've been doing it for their entire lives. And if you're interested and need any help or you want somebody to do a project for you, call Tyler Leday at 318-229-5585. Again, the number is 318-229-5585. They are based out of Lafayette, but they will travel. They will come to you, and they're very good people. They're upstanding people, and they do a very good job. So our friends at EFCO Development, Ask Mikey Mitch is brought to you by our friends at EFCO Development. Oh, you have the sticker on your head.
Well, that's because we're brought to you by EFCO.
There you go. Who's EFCO?
EFCO
Development. There we go.
EFCO Development.
EFCO Development is a civil construction company based out of Lafayette, Louisiana. They specialize in
math went bye-bye to me long ago, so I never had a chance to work there. Like math, engineering and all of that such. So, the smarter people.
Civil engineering. Let me explain to you how this works. The civil engineering is more about the earthwork and the ground, and you prep the land before you build vertically. And I don't know how much mathematics that they are actually doing.
Maybe Jay can tell
us in that spot. So I don't think the math excuse to you is a thing. But EFCO Development, our friends. That's why you have the sticker on your forehead. I'm sure your friend Tyler Leday appreciates that. I have Tyler's number. I will announce that number later on whenever we give them another. But before we go into our break, I want to give a shout out to, like I said, we talk about us getting new partners, new sponsorships all the time. We have a new sponsor. And you've probably seen them on the top left corner in the little spinner logo. EFCO Solutions. Our friends on at EFCO. They're out of Lafayette. They're a civil construction company. They specialize in new multi-family construction. Right? If you don't know what civil construction is, it's okay. Probably a lot of people don't understand it. They basically get the land ready to be built vertically. Right? I'm giving you a little bit of a construction lesson here. I don't know much about it. I've learned it on the go, right? They specialize in site drainage, site utilities, earthwork, site cleaning, house pads, ponds, demo work, and hurricane cleanup. So they do anything that involves dirt, basically, or the earth. And a lot of that gets done it has to be done before you are building whatever development you are trying to build. So our friends at EFCO have been fans of the show. They are really, really good people. They're down there in Lafayette. If you know anybody from Lafayette, you do know me. Mitch is from New Iberia. I'll consider that Lafayette's 337 area code.
There you go.
337 area code. They are unbelievable people. They do a very, very, very good job, and they are committed to growing and being the best at what they do. So I just want to give a shout out to our friends at EFCO. I know that they listen. Appreciate you guys. We are going to be great partnerships. Maybe are you gonna have a Heineken Silver for the game? Maybe.
I don't want now.
You a shotgun another one?
I don't know if you should shotgun because we saw how that went last time.
I feel like you got to redeem yourself.
If you have a drink, I don't think you should shotgun.
The way it went,
I'll enjoy this.
I think you should chug it. But maybe not shotgun it.
The way it went last time, it's...
Yeah, I could do. I can do anything. I know. All right, fuck it.
All right, go ahead. Go for it.
There.
Oh, that's much better.
1, 2.
Open it up a little bit. You know what I mean?
5, 6, 7, 8,
Okay.
9.
Okay. It's
10,
now it's starting to drip.
11,
Now you're struggling a little bit.
12.
It's pretty good.
13.
Not
bad.
I'll give you a 12 and a half seconds there. How was it? Was it good?
Delicious. You can't do that
With a regular one.
with a regular one.
Right.
You can only do that with the silver.
The silver, why? Because the silver's lighter. It's got
Lighter.
95 calories. It's pretty crisp. That wasn't even cold. I know you don't necessarily need a cold beer. That was room temp.
That's
But
the
I respect how
fraternity
quickly
days
you turned around and gave me a full sentence. That was quick.
Oh, yeah. Officer on time.
You've been around
Straight
before.
line, kid.
Yeah. You've been around before, but
It's just breakfast.
It's a very good beer. It's a
is.
very light beer. It's something that you can
Easy to drink.
Easy to drink.
Easy to pour.
Yeah. But it's something that, I think it should be in the rotation at tailgates, especially with LSU baseball coming up. We'll get into some of the LSU baseball conversation.
Dozy Place is located on 3723 Government Street. Everybody knows about their world famous steaks and their hot tamales, but what you may not know is that they're open for lunch every day from 11 to 2. Great people, great environment. Their lunch menu is fire. What's the best thing on the menu?
If you haven't tried it yet, you need to try the burger. Unbelievable, best burger in town.
Best burger in town. If you're looking for lunch, 11 to 2 at Dozy Place. Again, they're located on 3723 Government Street. Give them a shot. Actually, you know what? Let's go. Ask Mikie and Mitch right now.
Welcome back to Mik'd Up. G's great. Came in, surprised this guy. He wanted to have. He likes to have this make that segment very funny and very entertaining, and he is okay with us giving Mr. Ricardo some shit.
How great was it? Hey,
Get comfy, dog.
G comes in. He sits right next to Keith. Puts Keith on the spot a little bit.
Knocked him on the helmet.
Knock him on the helmet, and then Keith just answered it.
Answered the bell, dude.
Bulletproof.
Coach, if
shows you that squad's prepared.
they're ready. Right.
Bulletproof
Here's the deal.
answer right there.
If G would have taken out a whistle and hit him, have you ever been hit on the helmet with a whistle?
Oh, yeah.
My high school coaches
No,
did
my
it
high
all
school
the time.
coaches never did that. I never really had coaches do that.
It
No.
would ring the shit out of your ears, dude. It was the worst
I never
thing
really
in the
had that
world.
one,
Either
no.
that one or the lower back.
Oh, the lower back tap is the worst.
The lower back tap
I don't
is
care.
the worst.
1% fat, 37%. It's the worst.
The worst.
It's the worst feel.
We talked a little bit about LSU game, Saints game with Keith. Obviously, he loves football. He loves talking football. And, we got through some things. Obviously, I want to go more in depth on what we saw this weekend, right? Because you watch the first half and you're like, man, this is like not great. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if they've really done anything, right? And you saw a couple plays made. It was 22-7. LSU's making this run. I think they go down by 8. They end up cutting the lead to 8 points at halftime.
Yeah.
All right? They actually cut it to 5. They held Missouri to a field goal to make it 8. Missouri got the ball after half. Missouri missed a field goal. And you see this, and you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And then LSU outscores Missouri 42-17. From that point, from 22-7 score, they outscored Missouri 42-17. I think you really saw the tide flip towards the second quarter, and then really between the third and the middle of the fourth. And then Missouri ended up scoring a little bit towards the end of the game. But for me, I liked what I saw in the defensive line the most. We talked about it before the game, right? You can't fix the whole defense in 1 week. Pete Jenkins is not going to come in and make everything better on the defensive line in 1 week. I want to see a little bit of improvement. I want to see a little bit more of, okay, we know we're supposed to be. We feel more confident doing this. And I think if the defensive line got better, we thought if the defensive line got better, the secondary and the linebackers would play better because you at least have one facet of your defense playing well, right? And so I think you start to see that. I think you start to see them move quarterback off his spot. I think you started to see them, get a little bit more pressure. They had their first sack in 2 weeks against Missouri. Missouri had a really good offense, but you saw that the defensive line stepped up and made plays. They had a strip sack where they put them at 4th and 35. Then they had a couple plays where the quarterback was off balance and kind of got rushed and threw balls out of bounds or made some errant throws. And to me, and you said it when we were talking with G and Accardo, I think if the defensive line gets better, you see the secondary get better.
Yeah, so, that was pretty much timing-wise of the season last year's Ole Miss game. And it pretty much happened kind of the same way that one happened, where it was getting beat kind of close in the first half, and then second half you saw them absolutely dominate the other team, right? And just speaking of the first half of yesterday's game, what you didn't want to see was them kind of start slow and get behind and play from behind because of what we've seen the last couple weeks, right? Like, you just wasn't sure that the defense would be able to find a way to hold up, right? And they did. So it was cool to kind of see like that happen and you go into the second half and play well. And we talked about it last week. And the one thing I said I wanted to see, or that scared me after we had our Missouri writer on that came on, it scared me in a sense of where I was like, well, we know they got the one guy, Luther Burden, right? Luther Burden III, yeah. We knew for sure he was going to get his. And we knew they would throw well. We knew the quarterback was going to do well in that aspect of the game. But where I was worried was we were like, well, they've run the ball pretty decently too. And if they can do both of these things against us, we're in trouble. They ran for a team for 116 yards, which is a big improvement.
That is a huge improvement.
And
what did we give up last week?
Exactly.
330 yards.
Exactly. So, like, being that we were able to get that done not only shows me, like, hey, like you said, man, like, you can't move a mountain in one day. You're not going to get it all done in one day, right? Progression was what you wanted to see. Progression is what we got. Hopefully you get another step of that again next week. I told you the only one thing that scares me or is my worry that's still on the board moving forward is if you stack them up position by position with that Ole Miss team, right? Is Missouri's offense as explosive and as talented as that team?
Top to bottom, no.
And I don't think it is. So the question is maybe that was masked a little bit. And look, let's be honest, like, Ole Miss is good offensively.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And I'll argue. I'm not arguing. Let's say I don't argue. I will counter that with top to bottom. I agree. I think Ole Miss is better.
Yeah.
Right. I'll counter that with I don't think Ole Miss's top two receivers are as talented as Missouri's top two receivers. Right. I'll say that right now. But top to bottom, from center, left tackle, left tackle, receivers, running backs, everything, I think Ole Miss is better. Right. Quarterback, I'd probably give the nod to Jackson Dart, even though was it Cook?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he surprised me. He's a better ball player than I thought he was.
He's had a great year.
He's not only having a great year, watching him play, I was like, better ball player than I thought he was. Yeah.
Made good throws, was tough. He ran better than I thought.
Everybody kept saying,
better than I thought. He's banged up.
Yeah.
He can move but doesn't run. He ran great. I mean, he outran some of our athletic defensive linemen, right? He's got some big first downs. Those are the only 2 interceptions thrown all year.
Yep.
I think in his last 350.
That's his first 2 interceptions that he's thrown since last October.
Yeah.
Count that.
Right. That's
2022.
A year.
A year.
So, I think with him and those receivers, I think to me they match up with almost anybody talent-wise. Like the receivers in particular, but overall, I agree with you.
Like I said, this was the get-right game. You needed to get right. You needed to figure some things out. And let's just be completely honest. The absolute rocket ship that the offense has been on, that ain't going to continue every single game. Not every
Like they may
single
average,
game.
They may score 30 every game.
I'm not saying they're going to show up and put up 17 one game. But that's not going to continue every single game.
49 points in consecutive games.
So for you to start winning some games in this league, you got to start figuring it out somewhat on the defense. Yeah. And that was the get-right game that you needed.
No doubt.
Oh, no, I've been waiting for somebody to say that other than, like, I haven't been wanting to be the person to be like, you can't consistently count on an LSU offense to put up 50 points, and I might be wrong, but it just feels like something that doesn't feel like you can count on because of how...
You can't count on it
anywhere. No, not even count on it. That people are expecting it.
It's not fair to expect that.
Exactly.
I can take you out west, and I promise you, USC is going to lose a game they're supposed to win. If they're supposed to put up 50 every game. Right. I can take you over there to the ACC, and Florida State's going to lose a game if they're supposed to put up 50 every game.
Right.
It's just not. You can't count on that. You got to start showing up on the defensive side, and this is the get right to try to get them back to where they need to be.
And we talked about this before the week, right? We said maybe they're going to try, they as an LSU, they're going to try to run the football and establish that as a way of being their defense.
Right.
Right. Like, they did it. Like, they made it. Listen to me. There was that one stretch in the first half, maybe going to halftime.
It was
I don't know.
very close to halftime.
26 rushing attempts, 7 passing attempts.
I honestly think that was before their last drive of the first half. That was the run to pass stats at that point.
And so and they were running very effectively. They were moving the ball, and you started seeing like, damn, 22-7, but Missouri hadn't really had the ball much in the second quarter. They haven't scored much, and I think you don't want to hold the offense back at all, right? But they realized, all right, this is something that we're going to have to do. Like, this is something that we are going to have to try to help our defense with, limit some of the possessions, because they're obviously exhausted. They're getting gashed a little bit in the first half.
It's not even a matter of if they're tired or not.
Right.
It's just a matter of that
limit the possessions
it's limited
to the other team.
on defense.
Right, especially with an up-tempo offense.
Well, when you got a defense that's struggling, putting them out there for more plays ain't gonna help.
Right.
Right. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
can't
you
wait-
got to
quick
be able to play.
change.
Let's start playing keep away a little bit.
Right.
Like, I get it. We want to score at a very breakneck pace and just keep doing it, but the more we keep putting them out there, the harder it is, because it's going to be for them to actually show up and actually turn out some production.
You
know?
saw it happen against the 2019 LSU defense that wasn't bad, but they were so unused to going out there that frequently that Dave Aranda and that defense got exposed a little bit, because you sit down for 3 plays, like, oh shit, we just scored again. Like, get up, defense up,
and look,
it's like, oh shit, we're not ready.
And
you have no time to make adjustments. And
absolutely,
this defense is far worse than that defense was. You had players on that defense.
And honestly, look, we were hard on Mike Denbrock at the beginning of the season, and I have to give him all the credit,
flowers,
because what he has done with this offense and the adjustments he has made, and him being able to teach these guys to, hey, this is where you need to be. Honestly, relying on some of these guys that maybe had some rough game or two early in the season. I mean, Brian Thomas, if you looked at Brian Thomas after the first game of the season, you're like, this guy, he doesn't have good hands. He drops balls all the time. He can't make the big plays. And now he's leading the country in touchdowns.
Yeah.
Right? And so, like, he was able to say, okay, these are the guys. These guys are very good. I'm going to continue to figure out a way to make sure I get them in the right situations, in the right positions. And Jaden Daniels was able to. I think he finally took the reins off and said, hey, we're going to let you go and do this. And now the crazy part about it is you look at what he's trying to do and you say, okay, how do we balance this elite, explosive, I can score at any point, from anywhere on the field offense to, okay, I want to keep that.
I can play any game I want offense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to keep that dangerous offense in rhythm, and I want them to continue to score a bunch of points. But I also want to keep this balance, and I want to be able to control some of the clock and be able to, and that's a very fine line to kind of manage, right? And I think you saw it against Missouri. I think you saw them do that on the road, 11 a.m. game against a top 25 team, undefeated, riding high. Yeah, they may not have beat the best teams in the country, but they're winning games, and they had a really good offense. And the other thing that I enjoyed watching was if you looked at the matchup before the game, right? If you looked at, hey, what does Missouri do better on defense than they do anything else on defense, and that's stopping the run. And you watch what LSU did to them offensively running the football, that to me gives me a lot of confidence, because that means the offensive line is really starting to play the way we anticipated them playing, right? The running backs, Logan Diggs has been a godsend, right? He has put himself in a position where you can he's going to rush for 1,000 yards.
The way you said it, you asked for this probably about 3 to 4 games ago, is you wanted to see someone else in that backfield besides our quarterback take the lion's share of the work and actually start putting up the numbers. He's done that and more, right?
I mean, 23 carries, 22, 23 carries.
I think he had 24, I think.
You don't normally see that from running backs anymore, right?
But
like,
to
you
be
really
able
don't.
to be able to do that, like we know what they're capable of throwing the ball in the passing game, and that's been pretty cool. And I think the ability for him to step up, the ability for the offensive line to kind of work more cohesively together and kind of get comfortable with each other, I think that's been able to allow them to really, like, the offense to really open up the way that it has. And now you're seeing, I mean, you can't sit here and say they're not one of the best offenses in the nation right now, right?
Probably the best offense in the
And
nation.
when you roll it that way, now you get the defense to kind of step up and kind of meet that bar a little bit, and you're dealing with a dangerous team. But that's what we always know. It's LSU, right? In the SEC, a top-tier team in the SEC. Those teams put the little pieces together and start doing that. It's scary where it could go. And that's where they're trending to in my book.
And here's the other thing that I was happy to see was you could easily, as a team, go on the road, 11 a.m. game, get off the start that they got off to, and give up.
They had a lot of reasons to give up.
Not even give up,
Not even
but
just
like
on the road,
just-
like you said, 11 a.m. on the road, ranked team, packed house. A lot of people jumped off the bandwagon, got your ass smacked last week. There's a lot of reasons when it's down. When a team starts the game and they score a touchdown on that first drive, pretty
you go 3 and
easily.
out?
No. Pretty
Yeah.
easily. After you go 3 and out, they go down and score pretty easily. And that the other coach looks at y'all and says, "Hey, we're sending the message now, boys. 2. Let's go for 2." And they go ahead and do that. It's very easy for you to be like, "Oh shit, we're in for another long one." And for them to put it on and strap it on and kind of just keep chipping away, even though they got further down, shows you kind of what's in that building and what they're capable of. And now, what makes championship ball clubs is consistency, right? Like to continue to do that and answer the bell week in and week out. And that's what you're looking for.
And this game's hard. Like SEC in particular is hard. You go look at what Ole Miss did this past week. Now they have a bye week this week, but last week they played Arkansas. We beat Arkansas 33-30. Everybody at home, everybody was like, "Oh, well, Arkansas is not that good. It was a closer game than we thought it should have been. Rivalry game." Ole Miss beat Arkansas 27-20, right? Arkansas is not terrible, right? They have the ability to beat teams. They have a quarterback that has the ability to beat teams. In this league, you get beat up day in and day out. Ole Miss had a really good game against LSU. Offensively, defensively not great. Offensively, they were good. They scored 55 points. They had to score every single point to win the game. But then they go against Arkansas, and they got through it, and they did what they needed to get the win. But my point in saying this is it's hard. Like, it is hard to have that consistency game in and game out, especially in the SEC. And so, yeah, you lose 2 games. You lose your first SEC game, but you go and you get a big road win on the road. Now you have a big road on the road. You get a big win on the road. You come back home. You get to play Auburn. Then you play Army, and then you have a bye week. And you have the big bad wolf in Alabama, who now people are starting to get back on that bandwagon.
Especially after a Texas loss, too.
Right. So Texas loses. Alabama's got 1 loss. They control the whole deal, which is fine. You get to go there. That's your next measuring stick. And you can't look past Auburn. I would love to see them take that next step in the defensive line this weekend. Right? Hey, you saw the improvement.
You got 2 weeks to do it. Let's just be honest. You got 2 weeks and a bye week to continue to build that thing up.
But this week obviously is going to be Army's different. They're going to hand it off, and
they changed their offense. They run the spread.
They did, huh? They did, huh? But okay, well, anyway, Auburn.
Thank God.
Hugh Freeze is a very talented offensive mind. Right, and so
talented a lot of things.
Yeah, and so he's going to
works
go out
late
there,
hours,
and he's going to figure out a lot of ways to try to move the ball and score points. And so I think the way you combat that is the defensive line starts to dominate even more, right? You saw the progression in the second half. You saw, we had 2 sacks. We had one from our defensive end in Swenson, and you had Mason Smith had his first one of the year, right? Now, thankfully, they didn't call the face mask. Thank God.
You might be talking about a loss. That
would have been bad. That would have been very bad, but 2 sacks, right? Then you see Harold Perkins in coverage at the interception. Then you see the pick 6 by Major Burns to seal the game. You start seeing some of these big plays. You see the defensive line getting penetration and moving the quarterback around and making him rush. Like, those are things that you're used to seeing at LSU. Whether or not the defensive secondary is good or not, you're used to seeing that from the front 4. And so I want to see LSU do that again, even better next week, and I think that you will. I think that you're going to see. I mean, we've heard off air that what did we say whenever they hired Pete Jenkins? Is Pete Jenkins going to be the guy who's going to, be this magic pill? No, but he doesn't have to be, right? He knows the talent that they have on the defensive line. That's the deepest position group on the defense, is the defensive line. All you need is somebody to be able to coach these guys up and allow them to believe in themselves.
They just need to be coached
on what they're trying to do.
They
and we
have
heard
a coach.
Right.
He wasn't brought in as a magic pill. He was brought in as refinery.
Right.
Like, let me go ahead fine tune these things a little bit more and tune it up.
And so everything you heard leading up to this week was, oh man, they feel like they got a lot more confidence in themselves. They kind of feel like they know what they're supposed to do and where they're supposed to be. And you saw it kind of translate onto the field. And that's only going to build the confidence even more. And the more time they have with Pete Jenkins, the more confident they're going to be. So I would expect the next step forward this weekend. And I think if they do that, and you said it best, Jay, that's where the secondary is.
Yep.
If the defensive line starts to dominate, that's what second. Why is A&M's defense so good? Because their defensive line is very good.
Yeah.
Why is Alabama's defense so good now? Or playing better now? Because their secondary is getting torched by Texas, and they had other big play because their defensive line is playing really well. That is your secondary.
Yeah, dude, and I think our secondary too. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't think we have any frontline DBU, like traditional DBU, like straight dogs right there, right now. I don't. But when we talk about, hey, I'm like, man, we don't have any ball skills back there. They're not breaking any plays. I do think it's all on those guys when they are in position to make the play. I don't think they're confident and trusting that they are there yet. And that, I think, comes with time.
Well,
that, I think, comes with better front line play. And I think that all kind of just goes together. So we'll see.
And here's my other point to that, right? Like playing quarterback. You played quarterback. I played quarterback. Like when you're sitting down there in the pocket and you're not moving and you're not running around, or even if you're rolling out but like no pressure, your throws are a little bit better, a little bit more accurate, right? So, hey, these guys are kind of covering. Maybe you have some trail coverage. Maybe the guy has him by a step, but he has good coverage. And now the ball comes up, and the guy doesn't have the opportunity to make a play on the ball, and it's put in a really good spot. Back shoulder. Yeah, this guy's defended back shoulder throw, and you're like, damn, how come you can't make a play on that ball? You move the quarterback a little bit, and you get him scared. That back shoulder throw may be about a foot off, and now it's broken up.
I was about to say, I think as casual fans, we all forget like how much repetition goes into the practice that what you finally see on game day, right? And when you're watching it from the TV and you're not there and you're not part of it, when you feel like a quarterback hits that back foot, one little hitch and makes the throw, they've done that so many times, and that ball is usually in the right spot, or at least a spot good enough to where they felt good enough that that receiver is going to make a play on it. And those balls usually get completed. So now when you start seeing quarterbacks get moved off the spot a little bit, pushed out of the pocket a little bit, that is what you don't really get to see practice and completed every day in practice. And that's where you go from being like a good player to like, oh, that's that special stuff, right? And guess what? They don't put those on every team, right?
You saw it with the Jaden Daniels throw to Brian Thomas Jr. whenever he's able to hit his back foot and let that thing go for after they were running it, then they go play action, 65-yard touchdown pass to Brian Thomas, where that was such in rhythm to where it's exactly what you said. It looked like practice. Mm-hmm. Hit his back foot, let it go, and you're like, oh, he's finally running underneath one. And when he's finally comfortable being able to do that.
Yeah, and then when they pan to Brian Thomas, it's not like he's got 6.5 yards on him, but that's all they needed. They've done that a million times in practice. Like that is what you do all the practicing for. So,
and I think when you go to what LSU has faced defensively, that can't be understated. An Ole Miss offense that is extremely good. Now, it's not give up 750 yards of offense good. And the Missouri offense, same thing. You're not supposed to be giving up as many points as you have, but you finally catch a little bit of a break. You're going into a game against an Auburn team that isn't going to put you up against the rails every time you go to play. Like, you're playing against two high pressure, high speed offenses that want to run more plays. They have receivers that basically where you're deficient. They're able to attack you throwing the football, and you saw it against Ole Miss where LSU could never get off the field. You see some of that corrected against Missouri where you go 4 from 11 on third down, which is not bad. That's an improvement from what you've been doing defensively. Now you catch an Auburn team that did they sneak up on Georgia? Maybe, but what did they do? They did it by running the football with the quarterback. I don't think LSU's concerned about that with Peyton Thorne, who has 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. That's not going to be the problem. You finally catch a little bit of a break of what you face offensively, which could not come at a better time for LSU.
No doubt. And I think what you're –
it was just a bunch of, like, you got Luther Burton, who announced himself to the world this year.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has players everywhere.
For sure. And what I like to see, another thing that I like to see this past weekend was, they did this out of necessity. Yates, like some of these younger guys had a lot more meaningful snaps on the field, right? Especially in the secondary doing these types of things. And, like, hey, they may not be 100% ready, but based off of – and Brian Kelly said, we don't have any – these are the guys we got. And that's not to trash Yates' ability as a football player. That's just saying, hey, this guy's young. He may not be completely ready and understand everything yet, but he's in there, and we need him in there, and he's going to continue to get better and better and better. And Brian Kelly said it. He said, listen, he is a very smart player.
You could tell that's why I trust him.
Yeah, and he understands where he's supposed to be. And Brian Kelly came out and said, sometimes just go out there and play. He goes, sometimes he's thinking too much about where he's supposed to be. And I think that also gives comfort to some of these young guys. Hey, listen, you know where you're supposed to be. You have to believe that you know where you're supposed to be. So when it comes on, the lights come out, you go out and you play your ass off, because more than likely you're going to be in the right spot because you understand your concepts. Yeah. And I think that's important moving forward, right? Is these guys are playing. Swinson had the highest rated PFF grade of a defender on LSU. He played great. I can't talk about this game without highlighting Jaden Daniels, though. And we highlight him a lot. And we've been on Jaden Daniels from day one when he got here, right? We talked about it last year at Florida State. He was the only reason that we were in the game. Was he perfect? No. Is he going to get better? Yes. Last year, did he hold the ball, not go through his progressions? Did he not throw the ball downfield? All of those things, yes.
Ebbed and flowed last year. You lived and died with him.
First year, but he was the best option you had last year to play. Then you say, okay, well, he's got another year in the system. He's got all these adjustments. You go Florida State, didn't play great. From that day forward, right, he didn't play awful. He just didn't play what everybody thought it was supposed to be. From that day forward, he's been the best quarterback in the country in deep balls and making the right reads, going through his progressions. And here's what me and Jerry were really trying to explain to everybody last year. And you were on board too. He's not just a running quarterback that is going to run and just use it as a gimmick. He is a quarterback that is going to run when he absolutely has to run, and it is a weapon that you have to have. And you saw it at the end of the game when he was banged up and he had to come out of the game for a little bit, and he came back in and he was limping and he was not feeling good. I don't know if it was a bruised rib or whatever it was. He was not feeling great. 3rd and 9, backed up on his goal line. He runs for 12 yards. Makes the guy miss. 3rd down and 8, middle of the field, runs for 45 yards. He would grinded it out when you needed him the most, and Brian Kelly said it best in the post-game interview of the game ball. He is a badass motherfucker, and he is.
I'm gonna say it this way, and I don't think as much as we've been on the Jaden train, especially for this team, however you want to call it, right? As much, even on this show that we've been on the Jaden train, I don't think we've ever had the opportunity to look at him in the light that you probably should have been looking at him at after this past game. It was literally, squad, get on my back. I'm going to go ahead and lead you across this finish line right here. Like you said, it wasn't his best statistic game, right? He's thrown for more. He's run for more. He's probably had more total yards games. But big plays, bringing a team down from deficit, going out of the game with an injury, coming back to running a touchdown after he's gotten banged up with an injury. This was a hop on my back team, I'll run this shit.
Yep.
Game, performance. And that's the first time I'm like, yo, that was a Jaden game. I don't care what else happened. You saw them put the playbook and everything on him all game long to, hey, bring us back into this thing. And he did it.
What was one of the things that we leaned on the most last year? I don't care what it looks like. In the grand scheme of it, there's only one game where you can say, okay, that was Arkansas, whatever.
It was sick.
Right, but every other game, last year, this year, and the one thing that we could say was no matter what was going on in the game before, during, whatever, when it was time to make a winning play, he made the winning play. Somehow, some way, he made that winning play. And that has only gotten exponentially better this year. Yeah. And to me, that is a leader. That is what you want your quarterback to do, and that is what you want. That's the only thing you can ask from the starting quarterback on your football team is, hey, listen, when it comes down to it, in crunch time, are you going to be able to make the plays for us to win the game? And that answer is a resounding yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy how criticism goes at that position, though, right? Because game 1, when he threw for 350, all we heard was ring the bell on no progression. It looks the same as last year. It never got better. I didn't hear the same people asking to fire and take off everybody on the defense after they gave up 700 last week, right? And then the next week it gets a little bit better, and it gets a little bit better, which is all you've seen Jaden do this year is a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better as game goes, right? But it's crazy how it's looked at it when you're the one that's touching the ball every play.
I'll take it a step further and go how many people were claiming for Jaden Daniels to come back in the game after the 3-snap progression with Garrett Nussmeier.
Right.
Where it's where is he?
Right. And that wasn't fair for
No, and I'm just saying the narrative. The narrative of this is who, people were clamoring for a lot of the year. You see him get in the game. He comes in with a backup center. And that situation is not fair for anybody to succeed in. But I can tell you the room that I was in was a lot of people going, "Is Jaden okay?" Because you need him now.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, you're gonna need him now.
Right, yeah.
And I know that's not fair to Garrett Nussmeier, and I think he's going to be good. But you could see how much he's won over a fan base that wanted nothing to do with him, essentially, for a lot of last year and the beginning of this year, to where it goes from, I'd love to see Garrett Nussmeier in the spot.
You want to know what's funny too? Is
where's
like
Jaden?
I could put this out there, and I can say this about Garrett: like when it's his time, I think you're gonna see something special when it's his time too,
doubt.
because of what's gonna be pushing him, coming from behind him. Because of the opportunity and the time limit that he won't have left while he's actually in a uniform here. I think when it's
And because
his time,
of what he's seen Jaden do.
because of what he's seen Jaden do, because of the opportunity that he's got to sit behind this and learn, when it's his time here, I think you're going to get a very, very, very good player. It just so happened not to be that yet. And the guy that's doing it is doing it at a very, very, very impressive clip.
I don't think enough can be made of Jaden's progression even this year from what you saw from, I guess, if you want to complain about the Florida State game, but the progression of being able to throw it deep and get comfortable throwing it deep and using your two elite weapons, which is what everybody wanted to see. They knew the strength of the team was at the wide receiver room, and the way that Mike Denbrock and Jaden Daniels and so far down the roster goes, to be able to get them the ball the way that you're supposed to, that's why nobody's clamoring for, because you didn't think you could throw it deep. Now you're looking at a potential Heisman winner.
Right, and to that point, right, everybody wants to see, we need to throw the ball deep. We need to throw the ball deep. We need to throw the ball deep.
Then your defense was historically bad.
That's fine. Let's throw the ball deep. That's great. To me, what makes a really good quarterback and a guy who's a really good thrower of the football are the 15-yard in routes that he's throwing behind linebackers' heads.
That rip to Malik was unreal.
And that's what you've seen him do. That's the next progression that you saw from him. Like, hey, listen, every quarterback that's in college football can take a 3-step drop out of the gun and throw a fade route down the right sideline 35, 40 yards in the air. If you can't do that, then you're Andrew Hatch and you can't do that. But most college quarterbacks at this – I like Andrew. He's great. But the 40,
what a shot!
The 45-yard Hail Mary that didn't reach the end zone is what I can't – that's tough. Right? Very smart guy. He's probably making a lot of money.
His helmet.
Making a lot of money. He went to Harvard, whatever. But Jaden Daniels – everybody says, want to throw the ball downfield, want to throw the ball downfield. Yeah, that is, yes. It is hey, I'm going to go through my progressions, and it may not be in rhythm of like, hey, step, hitch, throw. No, it may be step, okay, see it, hitch. Oh, there he's coming open. I see the window. Let it rip. Linebacker has no chance of making the play because it's right behind him off the back in rhythm. And I'm like, that is the progression.
For everyone – so I think that if the number's correct, it was either 2 or 3 offensive coordinators that he had at Arizona State, right? For everyone who downplayed what year 2 in the same offense with the same receivers, with the same coordinator could do for you, I think you should give it a little more credence now, right? We should probably give that a little more love and understand that, hey, what you saw last year probably had a lot to do with how many new faces, new communication, new verbiage, new trust, new everything in one situation played out, right? And you still saw it play out to a sense of them getting to an SEC championship. So year 2 of it, for us to not, or anyone to not have thought, I don't care even after one, like you had to see game 1 for what game 1 was. They got bullied. They got beat as a team. And somehow that quarterback that didn't progress threw for 350 still, right? And people looked at it then saying, "Oh yeah, but it was 174 yards."
Trash
yeah,
time,
but what about the drops that happened that were right in hands early in the game? We're not going to talk about those. Those happen too.
Which is crazy.
And it's not to point at those guys. Those mistakes happen. Those things happen. But the point is like the progression was there. And it's not just because there was 340 there, right? It was there. You just didn't want to see it because we got beat by 20 plus. It was there.
Had to blame somebody.
You had to blame somebody. It was there. So like that's what we've been yelling from day 1 here. That's what we were yelling when it was really kind of quiet, honestly, surprisingly, during camp when there was no talk of it and people didn't try to stir that pot. And that's what we were yelling last year as well. Like, it's going to get there. Just stay with it. And it's cool to see it now. You just need the defense to kind of come along.
You know what's crazy is Malik hadn't had a drop all year, and he probably dropped the easiest ball that he ever had.
He was looking. His eyes were so big.
Like, and like I'm not trashing him because like look, it happens, right? But I mean, he had gone like
43 or 43.
Yeah, and there was no drops.
He caught that ball in his sleep.
This underneath route, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go."
He looked at it.
And he was like, "What the heck just happened?"
Not me.
But it was, look, for all of them, LSU is still not perfect, right? For all the positives that we've talked about, they were still not perfect.
Rewatching the game, it's tough to. That's what I'd say. You're lucky to. I mean, I'm not discounting
lucky.
Auburn.
You're not lucky.
You're lucky to get not another offense like that.
Oh, I thought you were saying you're lucky for them to get out of the game. No. I don't think they were lucky to get out of the game, like with a win. I don't. I really don't. I think they played well enough. I mean, they didn't do anything crazy to like. Nothing crazy happened for them to like.
No, I'm just talking
game.
about you.
You
have a missed field goal late, whenever you should have probably had.
Yeah, but that's not luck. That's part of the game.
Yeah,
no.
I'm talking about LSU missing.
Yeah.
They missed one too, though.
Yeah, they did.
That's what I was talking about.
The 62-year-old Mevis, the 62-yard Mevis field goal that was short of 40
gave up a cookie.
something yards.
Yeah, he gave up a cookie.
He didn't even
It
reach
got blocked by Perkins.
It did not. They showed the replay.
Showed the replay.
Watch it again. It got a little finger on it.
It didn't change at all.
The ball spin didn't change.
It did not change the spin
I think
of
it
the ball
rushed
at
him
all.
a little bit.
Rushed.
So did he block it or rush him?
I think he did both. I think he got it. A block and a rush.
The ball didn't
change, and it was short of less than 50 yards.
And the other field goal he made went about 13 different directions.
I don't know how that happened. That was unbelievable.
That was the Skip Bayless.
That was
God
unbelievable.
put that in.
Yeah. But special teams have been good too.
I was just going to say, because of like some of the penalties that didn't get called, and some that, I mean, obviously the referees.
By the way, Jay Daniels scored twice.
Yes.
They blew the play dead before, basically right as he snapped it on the first push.
I think they're trying to outlaw the tush.
So that's not how you do it. You outlaw by making a rule.
I don't think it gets outlawed by the LSU Missouri game either.
No, and not by the referee on the
Far
goal
side.
line. That's just calls it and says, "Oh no, this guy's his whole body was in the end zone. He scored twice.
He hands it to him out the end zone to put it back on the one.
This guy blew it dead the minute he snapped it and did a quarterback sneak. The minute.
Hey, the truth of it is too, like, let's be honest about the situation in a sense. We can't say they were lucky to get out of that with a win. LSU's a team trying to find their way as well. We're not in this season as the odds-all favorite, most dominant team. You go on the road and you slip up. Nah, they trying to find their side of it as well. So you knew going on the road to an SEC team who was going to be jacked up to play you, who was a top 25 team, who's feeling good because they're undefeated on the year. It's going to be a fight. It's not luck when we get out of here by 10 points and win or whatever. Like, it's a fight. And that's what you got in that situation, you know? And that's what you got to understand about not just college ball, like especially playing in the SEC ball. As well. Yeah.
No, I agree.
That's a quality win.
And look, but to get down the way that they did, and then more so to my point was, there's probably one or two calls that you make either way that they didn't make, which worked out. All things created equal, LSU should have won. But with the Mason Smith, if he gets called for that face mask on the third and 10, and then you
yeah, but that's
it can happen anywhere. But that's what I'm saying. You're that close to.
Yeah, but here's the deal.
I think we miss those.
Totally
I think we
different.
miss those when they go our way, and we don't view them as that shouldn't have happened. Like, nah, that happens game in and game out.
Yeah, but that call doesn't necessarily guarantee them to score a touchdown. Now, it gives them a first down. That's definitely a blow, but it's not taking a touchdown off of the board. They still have a little ways to go do it, right? You don't give the touchdowns on the quarterback sneaks. That's a touchdown. Like, you have a personal foul penalty on the Phantom's personal foul penalty on Will Campbell for some reason because he was playing too hard.
He blocked him too hard.
Yeah, I guess. And so, but those types of things.
That's what I'm saying. Even
you don't blame the refs.
Yeah,
you don't blame the refs. For a lot of the issues that we had last year. Now, Clayton wish he would have caught one of those balls and not let the punt drop, but. He made a decision to let it drop, and I'm glad he didn't try to go make up for it and fumble it. But it ended up being a tough, put us up in a situation that shouldn't have happened. But our special teams was really good. Obviously, he missed the field goal.
And you have one shank.
But Bramlett, when he needed to, twice in a row, dropped. Remember, he kicked the punt, downed it, and they downed it inside the 5, and then they had the 5-yard penalty. It made him punt it again. And he punts it, and the punt returner fair catch at the 5-yard line. So my point is, when he needed it, he did it. And, he shanked one. We kind of, but when we needed him, pin him back. They pinned him back. And the second one that he fair caught and led to the pick six to seal the game. And so,
Caleb Jackson with a 45-yard return out the end zone.
Yeah, but they got wiped out. But still, that was a penalty on that.
How did it get wiped out?
Yeah.
A penalty.
I know what kind of penalty was it.
I don't know.
My point is like, if
do you know?
No. My point is like, if that doesn't get wiped out, then you're not quote unquote lucky. Like, plays like that working.
Right.
So I'm saying, like, usually, you gotta understand. See those things, they go both ways.
No, they balance out for sure. But I'm just saying that's how close it was for it feels great to get a win. Like if you're rooting for LSU, and everybody is, that's listening to this show, I'd imagine. But that's how close these things have become with the defense that I would say got better. And I don't know what exactly you can point to that says that you're going to be able to do this offensively every week. Because, like we said, I don't know if you can hang your hat on being able to score 50 a week. It's just not something that happens all the time.
You can't.
Jay Daniels put up numbers that are better than Joe Burrow's to this point.
35 points a game should be play enough to win games.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So I would just hope that you would be able to get defensively, and if it's putting Zy Alexander out there and putting Swinson in there, and maybe you found.
Well, you're going to see Swinson a whole lot more. Yeah. He played 42 plays last week, most he's played all year, and he had a great game. Like you're going to start seeing him play a lot more.
Yep.
You know, I mean that is inevitable. He's earned that. What weeks you're going to see him play a lot more. Space comes back. He's probable, so he's going to play. Has more linebacker depth, but I think Weeks has put himself in a position where he should probably start every game. You know, and if he doesn't start, then he needs to get the lion's share of plays at that position.
You'll see Yates out there a lot.
You'll see Yates out there a lot. You know, what's going to happen with Denver Harris? I don't know, right? They went to the zone in the second half. I think that, they probably figured out where guys are supposed to be, and I think it's going to be easier for them to come up with a defensive structure of what works and what they like with the guys in there. But at the end of the day, there's going to have to be there's going to be a time where they're going to maybe have to go play man. Like there's going to be an adjustment with the teams and the offenses that they're playing at some point, maybe.
And I think you've seen, because of what I was talking about in the offense, is what you saw in the latter half of that game is what the LSU offense is probably going to look like a little bit more, where they lean on that run game a lot more.
Yeah, I think they will. And the one thing I am enjoying about this season, and that we're kind of getting a chance to see with Brian Kelly and the way he coaches a team, is the opportunities for trial by fire has kind of given themselves to the game, where you've seen people struggle, and it's not, hey, let's just keep throwing the same dudes out there, even though we're watching them lose over and over again for whatever the reason may be. And you've seen this season, they say, hey, all right, bro, you ain't getting it done. I got somebody else. Let's try somebody else. And you're starting to find out by fire who is going to be able to produce and who's going to be able to be counted on play after play after play. And we're finding out about guys that we didn't necessarily think at the beginning of the year that you'd be seeing them. And I think you're seeing them.
And I think to that point, and the last little thing I want to say before we move on to the next topic, because I think we've done a really good job of highlighting the things in this game, and we're going to keep talking. We have another guest coming in on Wednesday that I think people are going to enjoy hearing from. We had a conversation with him before, and he's going to be on here, and I think you're going to start seeing him a lot more on Mik'd Up, which is going to be great. But the last stat that I want to give, right, the biggest issue outside of not understanding where you're supposed to be on defense or making plays on the football or giving up a ton of yards is, hey, we did a really good job of getting the third downs and not getting teams off the field on third downs, right? Between Arkansas and Ole Miss, they combined 17 of 29, so almost 60% conversion percentage on third downs, right? Missouri was 4 of 11 and 2 of 7 in the second half when LSU needed the most on third downs. And to me, that's a really good sign of progress.
It's steps. It's wins coming forward. Like I said, that's what we talked about. Like you want to see them start making a step. So instead of looking at it being like, oh, we still gave up 500 plus, we did. But those two things we were not doing before.
This is how you
win. Yeah. So.
And another thing I want to shout out before we go is the offensive line.
No doubt.
I think that's
Emory Jones is offensive lineman of the week for SEC offensive lineman of the week. I think he's earned that. And so Brian Kelly made a comment. I'm going to let you get back to the offensive lineman too, but Brian Kelly made a comment about he was excited about Emory Jones's poise that he showed in the game, right? And what do you mean by that? Well, we already know he's talented, right? And when you get in a situation where it's heated and you start getting a lot of these things go back and forth, a lot of shit talking, a lot of, hey, under the, maybe some cheap shots underneath the pile. Emory Jones kept his cool, like Brian Kelly said, and kept his poise. Got kicked by their defensive end, right? Literally kicked by his defensive end. He didn't react and try to beat his ass. He looked at him like, hey, bro, I kind of gave him like a little bit of this, and then the guy got a personal foul penalty, right? There's a couple times where he was almost kind of baited into trying to do something to hurt the team, and he didn't. And I'm not saying that makes him soft. People say, oh, you need to have that fire and have more of these personal fouls. No. You need to have that fire when you're ready when it's play.
Between the whistles.
Yes. And then when it's over, if someone does that, like, hey, that guy is not – he's trying to bait you. It's usually the second guy, right, or offsetting penalties, so that way that penalty doesn't even matter. And I think you see a lot of this maturity and you see a lot of the growth on this offensive line and the team in general. And to me, I think that maybe goes a little bit unnoticed and maybe people don't really think that's important. And I think that's very important moving forward. Like, hey, listen, there's a time and place where even after the whistle you stand up for somebody, and there's a time and place where you say, bro, you're an idiot. Like, thank you. Like, you see a lot of these guys in the NFL, like, whatever, some guy, like, tries to do them, and the guy starts clapping in his face, like, you
Thanks for the 15.
Yeah, appreciate that, right? And I think that goes a lot to – that's a credit to the staff and a guy being a professional.
For it to be coached in you, for you to – whether that's coming from home, your high school coach, your college, wherever it is, for you to be coached into you to have the discipline for when someone kicks you, does some crazy stuff – after a whistle that is not actually a part of the game, and in that very moment for you to think, this team's bigger than me right now, so let me not react that kind of way, lets you know what kind of tutelage that person is under, and that's a huge character plus and bonus for you to have guys like that on your squad.
That guy was their best pass rusher, got ejected because he had 2 personal foul penalties.
And a little savvy to just kind of lean on that leg a little bit. Take me
yeah,
a while
and
to get up.
Look, he's not intentionally trying to lay on his leg, and like he doesn't know the guy's hurt, but like that's
he wasn't hurt. He was doing that so we didn't get it, so he felt not so bad about getting the penalty.
So I'm happy. Like it wasn't perfect. There's a lot of frustrating times, but I'm just happy that
LSU gets out of there with the win. And I was just saying to the offensive line because of you're seeing LSU be able to do both. That run game doesn't happen without a competent offensive line, and to look back. Even last year where you weren't sure what you were going to get, you have 2 freshman tackles. And the year before that where your offensive line was non-existent, to be able to go in there, and then you have an opportunity where you have to put in a freshman center, and he comes in and plays well. Like what Brad Davis is doing on that offensive line has allowed LSU to change its approach to offense to help its defense because they can do either pass block or run block, whatever you need us to do. They're able to do, and that has helped the defense tremendously, at least in a one-game sample, which I think you'll see more of going forward.
No doubt.
It changes it changes the way you look at the season.
No doubt. And look, it's 7:24, and I really want to get into the Saints conversation.
Matthews scored a touchdown.
Huh?
Tyrann Matthews scored a touchdown.
Tyrann did. I didn't want. Look, it's too late to really dive in, so we're just gonna stick with the college football show and the SEC show right now. We're gonna talk about this a little bit on Wednesday. Saints looked really good, right? 34-0. I know the Patriots are struggling, but you're still going up there, Bill Belichick defense in New England, and you're able to do.
You can see that thing go either way.
Right.
Like going into the game.
No doubt. You're able to do whatever you wanted. You played really good defense. You didn't give up a point.
Not even either way. I don't think anybody would have ever said, hey, the Saints are going to go up to Foxborough and walk out with a shutout win, and not just like a 17-0 win, 34-0.
34-0.
I don't think anybody would have said, yep, mark me down for that one. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And so, that's encouraging to see. They're 3-2. They're 1 game out of first place. Panthers 0-5. Not great. Now,
Tampa. Atlanta.
Well, Atlanta lost. No, they won. No, they lost. No, they won.
The one thing
they won the walk-off field goal.
Yeah,
That's probably what every Atlanta fan says. Oh, we lost. We won. We lost. Oh, we won. We won the game.
Without going into too much depth about the Saints, like that's the one thing that's still real concerning to me about the Saints. Is
how realistic is that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Man, like I'm still so confused as to when that offense is gonna catch stride and start showing.
And I think I'm with you, and I think that was a very good step. I think that the healthier he gets,
health is definitely huge for Carr. He needs to get back to full health.
Right,
100%.
And I think you're starting to see it. You started seeing a little bit better throws yesterday. You started to see him okay, and now let's build on that next week. And let's build on next week. So I'm with you. Kamara coming back helps out a lot.
Huge.
And so Kendra Miller looked good.
Huge.
So they're going to be
large.
They're going to be able to have the offense. They're too talented. Kamara said the same thing. We're too fucking talented to be bad at offense. Yeah. In those words, right? And so I think you're going to start to see that. I think you're going to start to see them take ownership of that. Like I said, we're going to talk more about that on Wednesday. But what I do want to talk about is the state of college football and the state of the SEC right now, right? So, you have Alabama Alabama played A&M, right? And I think everybody thought this was going to be an A&M way for A&M and Jimbo to really, because Jimbo's gotten close.
Announce himself. He probably needs.
I think Jimbo's beaten. Jimbo beaten Saban once? One time, right? But every year it's a good game. Every year it's tight, 3, 4, touch, one score game, and so you see them and you're like, damn, I think A&M's got the defensive line to do it. I think they've got the defense to do it. Alabama finds a way to win the game 26-20, right?
Jermaine
Burton is starting to become the Jermaine Burton that everybody thought he was going to be when he transferred from Georgia. Jimbo's in trouble.
In what way?
I mean, I think A&M's going to buy him out. Maybe not into this year, but he ain't got much time left. Coach.
So I don't think the Alabama game did that.
No, I don't
to him
either.
per
I
se,
don't either.
But I do think it probably puts a little more fuel in the fire. And if there were to be a big misstep or two the rest of the way, it's hard. They're paying a lot of money,
right,
for not having.
And look, their
winning
schedule.
program,
They got to
if you will.
play LSU. They got to come to LSU, play LSU. LSU's going to
might be
beat
the
them
kicker.
after last year, the way it ended, right? So that it's just they're not in a position right now to really feel comfortable about.
Yeah, their quarterback got hurt there. That's another excuse that they can make.
Yeah, but you have a quarterback that's got a lot of experience that's good enough to be able to win.
Yeah, but that's not who you went into the season expecting to play, and then you're in year one of the Bobby Petrino experience, which has gone relatively well. I think they're going to run it back again because who are you going to find out there that's better?
Well, here's the deal: you can't fire.
That's the question every year, but there's always somebody that's willing.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I know
Especially when
that.
they're willing to pay. Like you heard Gordon here talk about there's some people that won't have salary caps, and that school's got some very deep pockets.
No doubt. And look, we'll see. They're in a bad spot. It could always be worse. You know what I mean? LSU's mad about what's going on. He was supposed to be the savior of all these guys coming in. You can't blame it on talent. Can't blame it on none of guys. Can't blame it on any of this stuff. And look, injuries happen. You got to figure out how to get through it.
And I just think going into next year will be year 3 of all those NIL guys, where you would see a lot of what you paid for come to fruition. I would imagine for
Coach
A&M.
You gotta have it come to fruition before their third year.
Look how good their
at college.
D-line was. I mean, I think a lot of people are putting a lot of stock into this game because you feel like Alabama's down. God forbid a Nick Saban team gets better throughout the year. It's shocking.
God forbid the team looks different than it's looked in the past, like the last 6 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God forbid they don't have an offense that's going to average 40 points. God forbid they're going to have to win on defense. They've done that
you don't think
the
he knows
whole
how to
time,
do that?
right? Like, you don't think Saban's used to making these adjustments and figuring this thing out. And, like, honestly, I think everybody's doing them a favor.
I do, too.
By counting them out and letting him use this as a motivation. Hey, listen.
Jalen Burrow had his best game.
Right. And so, like, they're good. Alabama's going to be a challenge. They may not be as good. The gap has maybe closed a little bit, but they're still Alabama. They're still coached by Nick Saban. They're still going to be good. Now, I think what people didn't do, or what people have maybe prematurely assumed, was that Georgia wasn't that good either. Right? Hey, Georgia's got this freshman quarterback.
Kind of a nerd.
Hasn't played.
Who's starting to step up, too.
Yeah, at some point. So, like, hey, they're going to have a good defense. But, like, man, they looked like they struggled against Auburn. They almost lost that game. They haven't played great. It wasn't the Georgia team you're used to seeing. Well, all of a sudden, Kentucky comes in there undefeated, riding high, playing really well, beating the shit out of some teams, running the shit out of the ball, playing good football, undefeated. Now they're a 14.5-point dog. I think a lot of people, me included, took Kentucky. Not saying they're going to win, but maybe 14.5 is a lot of points, especially when they're playing well. And Georgia absolutely boat races them and blows their doors off 51-13, right? And so Georgia, and Beck played his best game, right? And what is Kentucky known for? Playing pretty physical defense and being able to run the football is what they've been, under.
That's what they've turned
Stoops.
themselves into.
Under Mark Stoops, that's what they are. And Georgia said, okay, you are. Watch this.
Georgia.
51-13, ain't even close. Get off our field. You don't belong here. And I think they've said, okay, they're number 1 in the country now, still the number 1 AP. I think people realize, okay, let's hold off on this Georgia's dead thing. Yeah, let's hold off on that. Like, they haven't lost a game in a long time. Let's back off. I think we're too quick to jump on that
And it just goes to show, especially from a gambling perspective, how quick people are to play the week-to-week analysis of. You saw Kentucky just boat race Florida by running for over 260 yards. Like, oh, they could do that to Georgia, who hasn't looked that good. Let's take the point, see what happens. And you're like, oh, Georgia's number one in the country for a reason and back-to-back national champs. It hasn't lost. And now don't be naive to the fact that they hear some of this stuff in the building. Like, Kirby Smart's a master motivator, understands.
Don't be naive to the fact that matchups matter too, right?
Right.
Like you just said, Georgia's built that program off of dominant front play, right? Kentucky trying to come in and beat them at their own game.
It's hard to do.
It's probably not the best. It's probably not the best thing. But Kentucky's going to have to try to play their game because that's what they do, right? But that's the one team where it's like, this matchup's not good for you. I get what you like to do, but this matchup's not good for you.
Here's the deal, dude.
It's old LSU, Alabama.
Every high-level athlete, right, and these athletes are high-level athletes, they have a competitive streak to them that is unlike anything you've seen, right? In anything.
It's not an accident.
Chess, checkers, whatever you're competing in, these athletes are ultra uber competitive. And so when you challenge their ability, and they say, oh, they're not that good, or you're doubting them, then that competitiveness comes out. And it's not like, oh, bulletin board material. No, that's just the natural way that an athlete is wired. Most athletes are wired that way, and it's like, all right, watch this. And that's what happens. It's not like, oh, they're using it as a rah-rah, whatever. And I'm sure Kirby Smart is basically, hey, look, these guys are saying this about you. What the fuck are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to say shit to you. If I have to say something to you and people are talking about how you're not that good, then you're in the wrong position. You're on the wrong team because that in itself should piss you off. And I'm not saying that's the whole reason they won that by that way, but I'm just saying, like, yeah,
well,
of course that's
why they won by 40. It was a statement game.
No doubt. Louisville beats Notre Dame. Notre Dame coming down to earth a little bit. Now, they played a tough schedule. I mean, their schedule is they play USC next week.
Because they won't get in anybody's conference. So
right, that too.
You should be playing the toughest schedule.
I like them. I like them against USC next week, though.
I do too.
Here's my other question.
USC plays triple overtime.
If anybody could keep USC off of the 42 and up number, I think they got a chance of beating USC.
Yep. And here's
it's
my
a classic Lincoln Riley team.
100%. And look at what happened when Lincoln left Oklahoma, and Oklahoma was playing good defense now, and they're scoring points. That Oklahoma-Texas game was awesome. 34-30, went down to the end of the game.
You can't get rid of that for even when they join the SEC. I know they're going to get banned conferences. That has to be played every year.
Yeah, I think that one should be on.
They're both in the SEC.
I know, but they just don't have a set schedule yet, and they didn't know they don't know if they're going to keep rivalries the way that they have.
You got to keep that.
You got to keep that and keep it at the state fair. That thing is. I mean, if you saw McAfee on Friday, that thing's a spectacle.
Yeah, you got to keep it there. I think that was awesome.
Dylan Gabriel, who is 38 years old, still playing college football. He's 22, but still.
Yeah, you feel like he's been there
reclamation
forever.
project.
No doubt. I mean, that's the second UCF quarterback that's done that. The other one, Mackenzie Milton, didn't really play great for Florida State when he transferred, but they both had those severe knee injuries. Here's my other question. This is just now we're off the cuff. It's
we're here
towards the end of the show. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall pick, right? Like, that's what everybody's saying.
I mean, it's not really that. Yeah.
Right. So, and he's great.
I was about to say it's not really that debatable.
No, and I'm not even questioning that. I think he is by far a special talent. You have 2 teams in the NFL right now that have not won a game. Carolina Panthers. I forget the second one. The whole point of this is the Carolina Panthers. They drafted Bryce Young, 1 overall. Going into this year, the Bears had their franchise quarterback in Fields. They had their 1 overall pick. Hey, are we going to – actually, Panthers don't have their 1 overall pick. I'll take that back. They traded that. They traded their first-round draft pick this year to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bears have – never mind. My point's been – I was going to say, what are they going to do? They're going to draft Caleb Williams and then trade Bryce Young, but they're not. I take that back.
What I've been hearing –
I take that back. My bad. I talked myself.
Well, you could be saying the same thing for Justin Fields if he didn't just throw for 5 touchdowns.
Right. No,
but what you're saying about them is what I've heard them talk about with Bryce Young is that they're like looking to make a trade for a frontline receiver
Right.
this year. Not like in the offseason like this year. Like that's how much they believe
They're
in
talking
Bryce.
about T. Higgins.
They just don't have dudes there. They don't have like legit dudes there right now.
Yeah. They're talking about going to get T. Higgins.
Yeah.
It sucks that Terrace Marshall hadn't turned into the guy that they thought
Right.
he was going to be.
And Chark's there right now too, right?
Chark's
And
there,
he's kind of been banged up a little bit. Yeah.
But I mean, they're looking at the Bengals.
Finally.
Oh, I mean, Joe's healthy. You saw him running.
7-Eleven finally.
Yeah.
7-Eleven.
You saw him
I was
running
fucking
around.
with it.
You saw him getting first downs with his legs. Like,
He looked healthy for the first
he's
time.
finally starting to look the way he looks. And, like,
That makes
obviously
me
it's not-
wonder. That makes me
36
wonder.
of 46, 317 and 3. That's no 15 catches for 192 and 3.
As weird as this sounds, that makes me wonder if he felt going into not Sunday's game, but the game before, if he felt like, man, I'm getting pretty close to being healthy, and if going into that week they said, hey, look, yes, wins are important, and we would love to win this game. I'm not talking about the one they just won, the game before, right? But if getting you back to being healthy while not taking you off the field means we got to be able to move you around the least amount as possible, and hopefully we can scratch a win out right here, let's set a game plan like that. And it didn't work for him, but it makes me, because for him to say coming out of that week was the best he's felt, and then he's able to play like that the next week, makes me feel like, well, then you had to. There's no way it was way worse last week. Like were y'all trying to do this on purpose?
And here's my, and I'm by no means a medical professional. Let me put that out there right now. Like, this is my disclaimer. I'm not a doctor. I hated biology. Like, I'm not a medical professional, but I was a professional athlete, and I have gone through some of these things. You've done the same thing, right? We've gone through these injuries that kind of nag and nag and nag, and you kind of get to the point where, like, yeah, it's kind of holding me back a tad, but, like, I'm still able to play. And I have found, depending on the injury, and we talked about this with Mason Smith before the year, the more I played, like, let's say I was recovering from something, I sat out a few weeks, like Joe did in preseason. Sat out 3-4 weeks, got healthy. Man, like, a little different. Doesn't feel great. My calves kind of bother me. I'm not moving 100%. I know I can feel it. I'm there. It's subconscious, whatever. And he grinds through it. At some point, if you don't re-injure it, right, which is a big if, but, like, if you say, okay, I feel confident that I'm not going to re-injure it and I'm going to keep doing this, you keep playing through it. At some point, your body, I feel like, is going to finally, like, adjust and say, okay, we got all that shit out, like the soreness, whatever tweaked is out, and then you start progressing and get better, and you still playing on it, and then by the time that if you keep doing that, you're back, and you're just like, damn, okay, this is it. And I guess my only example I can give is when I was playing in Tampa, there was the turf is terrible there, like terrible, like pitchers wouldn't run in the outfield to do their running outside. They would inside. They would run. This is Tampa, Florida, in the summer. They would run outside on a stretch.
They used to hit the pavement?
No, a stretch of grass next to the pavement, where fans would just drive by, and they would see everybody running and doing their sprints because they did not want to run.
Show shit.
Yeah, show shit. They didn't want to run in the stadium because the turf was so bad on their legs. Well, I was always in the outfield, and so I'm chasing down balls. And so the back of my calves, like behind my knees, were like, it wasn't like it was like an injury. I was stretching, I was getting it worked on, but, like, I felt like I couldn't push through it, right? Well, I stopped doing all my running and stuff on the turf, and I started doing it outside, and I just kept playing through it. All of a sudden, just one day, damn, I woke up, I'm like, not sore anymore. And I just got through it. And, like, I have no idea why that happened, but to me, it's like, well, it wasn't something that was going to get worse, or it wasn't something that I couldn't get through. And I think the more I played on it, the more my body kind of, like, pushed it through.
I think that also happens too. Like, as much as your body pushes you through, your mind, you start getting used to being like, all right, you go from, I feel great, nothing bothers me, I feel perfect, to, okay, season starts setting in whatever this little injury is kind of gets on you, and you start to feel it. And you go from trying to guard that feeling to understanding that, all right, it's still there. When I make this move and I make that move, it's not getting worse, so I can open it up a little bit more because it's not getting worse. So let me just kind of keep pushing through it, trying to find the next level to where I'm not feeling like I'm guarding it to where it hurts anymore. You just, like you said, then you end up getting to that spot where you just break through.
and then now you get to
Yeah,
go.
and like I said, that could mean nothing. I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just going based off of pure
I felt some
experience.
things, so I've gone through some
that's what I mean.
things.
Like I've gone through a lot of stuff. I had a bruised rotator cuff one time in college, and I just felt like I couldn't throw. All of a sudden, randomly, it just went away. I was like, I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything different. It just stopped hurting. I don't know. It's just things. You know. What are you doing over there?
I was pulling up all over the Seggies.
Okay, great. Well, I guess that's the Seggies.
Working
the
ahead.
Seggies. Look at that.
I know. It felt weird.
I like that. Before we go, we have so LSU baseball started their fall scrimmages last week. They had a scrimmage on the 5th and the 8th. Offense has actually gone out there swinging. The schedule for this week, if you want to go out there and watch them, Thursday at 3:30, Friday at 3:30, Sunday at 12:30 are the three scheduled games.
You could bring in like your own drinks if you want.
I guess there's no probably no
Heineken
way.
Silver.
There's some Heine. Hey, listen, the weather right now.
I think I might go on a Thursday.
The weather right now, what's that, Thursday?
That's why Lloyd said that.
I
so
could
he
maybe
tell you
go on
that's what he was
Thursday.
trying
Maybe
to
I'll
fi-
let you know.
He was trying to
maybe
figure
go
out a
together.
time for him to start drinking a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
Fun.
the
Thursdays
weather
are
right
easy,
now
guys.
is awesome. Like, couldn't be any better. The weather this weekend, home night game at LSU is going to be. This one's going to be glorious. This weather this weekend is going to be glorious.
That's what you need.
That's the glorious weather that I wanted, not the hot weather that I tried to force into being glorious the last home game. This one,
This is you don't need to push on this one. This is
no.
it's here for
This
you.
is the glorious weather. This is the weather where Heineken Silver makes its hay. 95 calories, 4% alcohol. It is easy
100%
to
a
drink,
good time.
100% a good time. Easy to drink. And it's one of those things where you can just constantly drink it throughout the course of the day and not feel bad about yourself. Continue to progress forward with your day and feel like you can go to the game in a normal tailgating state of mind and make it there and make it through the game. So our shout out to Heineken Silver, been a partner from day one. Couldn't be more excited about it. And if you are going to go to LSU football, baseball scrimmages, go ahead and put a couple on ice, little to go, little shoulder ice chest in there. But the offenses have looked pretty good. The offenses look pretty good. Guys are coming out there swinging a hot bat, which is good to see. And so, yeah, that's go out there and check them out.
I'm hearing these two of these freshman lefties really showed out this weekend, and just keep your head open for them, or keep your eyes open for them, I should say.
Which one?
The other Louisiana lefty, the kid that missed all of last year with the Tommy John, freshman, really threw well, and obviously Cam threw well. So I think those are two guys who may be making a real splash this year. So just
Look, I think another thing that Jay was pumped about was, so everybody, like Michael Braswell, a transfer from South Carolina, came in here, I don't think with a ton of fanfare in the transfer portal, right? We had a lot higher profile guys transfer in on the mound, in the outfield. What Jay liked about him was he was as good as you can get defensively. Like, he knew you could put him at shortstop. He was going to be really good. And he saw something in him offensively. He was like, I feel like we could do some things to help him.
upgrade him there.
Yeah, and I think that, if you look at the October 5th scrimmage, he went 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. So, like, he's starting to, I guess, feel – now this is fall scrimmages. You've seen a lot of guys do really well. But that is, to me, is an encouraging –
Yeah, I kind of got the feeling that I'm not sure – I don't know.
Nick Bronzini's been lights out, too.
Yeah.
2 innings pitched, 4 punchies.
Yeah, I would be delightfully surprised if he became one of the offensive stars. But what I do think is somehow, some way, Braswell is going to be one of those additions that they have next year, where you're like, wow, that was a gem that we just stole. I do think he's going to be in that. The guy's got experience. He's played in the league before. He's a very, 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 very sure-handed defender. If they can upgrade him and help him kind of take his game to that next level offensively, I think he's going to be one of them sneaky steals.
I agree.
Oh, shit. Did I miss betting on the Monday night game?
What?
Monday night game? I think I missed it.
Well, it's on, so you definitely missed it. You're going to be live betting.
It's not a thing at this
Yeah,
point.
it's definitely on the – it's on.
You're only live betting's all you got right now, cuz.
Green Bay up 3-0.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm excited for Braswell.
Good. Me too. Nice. Thanks for adding that insight there.
And Lloyd, welcome to the
I
segment.
appreciate that. Great insight there.
My medicine is worn off.
That's great. All right, well, let's get there. Let's get to the Seggies. Mistake of the day is brought to you by our friends at Doe's Place. If you've never been to Doe's, you're missing out. If you haven't been to Doe's for lunch, you're even missing out even more. If you like burgers, you like steaks, you like tamales, you like a good atmosphere, this is a place to be, especially with football really starting to heat up, and you're starting to really the weather's starting to feel better, and it feels like football weather in the fall. Fridays, you have a big home slate of football games happening between now and the end of the season. Majority of the home games at LSU are now, right? And
5 out of the last 6.
So Fridays, get off a little early for work, go in there for lunch, grab yourself a beer, have a nice lunch. It's a good place to be. Give them a shout. They're on Government Street. So Mistake of the Day is brought to you by our friends at Doe's. What you got, Lloyd? Great Mistake of the Day, by the way.
Thank you. Mistake of the Day belongs to Mario Cristobal for just an atrocious time management, and that is probably the bigger part of the mistake of the day. This is what's great about the internet. People started digging into his past, and he has never taken a knee as the head coach or whenever he's been in charge of the offense. And I know he's an offensive coordinator. Like, he's not an offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. But it's an old school mentality. He likes to say that we don't quit on plays. We don't give up football games. You play to the end of the whistle until there's zeros on the clock.
He has come out and said this.
Yes, this is his mentality of what he thinks football should be. I mean, I don't like them Devils now. Who's that? Arizona State. He's at
Herm?
Herm recovered that fumble. Remember, this is when the kneel started to take effect. Was whenever he was playing for the New York Jets, and they forced a fumble and ran it back with 3 seconds left in the game. This was like in the 80s.
Yeah.
And ever since then, people are like, just don't put the ball in harm's way. Mario Cristobal has a thing or two to say about that with his approach on Miami's offense when they had.
So for those of you who didn't see it,
You're
can you
about
explain?
to.
You have the video up there.
Yes.
So for those of you who didn't see it, this is probably one of the biggest debacles in college football history. So Miami's up 20 to what do they have?
They're up by 3.
3.
That's tough.
That's almost fireable.
It would be if they weren't able. Everybody is still. I mean, they were high on Cristobal because he's actually brought Miami some sort of relevance back.
No, they beat A&M but if you win that game, that's a big loss.
Huge loss.
They're in the playoff picture without that loss. You have one loss to A&M.
No, you beat A&M.
No, you beat A&M.
They boat raced A&M.
They're undefeated.
No, they had a loss to somebody. I don't know who they lost to though. You had a loss to. They didn't play Florida State or anybody yet.
No, they got Florida State at the end of the year.
So you have. Let's see here. Hold on. Let's just see. I'm gonna have to go look at the schedule.
I thought they had one loss, but then I thought they were undefeated because I thought they lost 2.
I don't know how to find them on this.
Football schedule. Let's do that. They have North Carolina coming up against Drake May.
They lost to Georgia Tech. They were undefeated.
I thought so.
They were undefeated, and the only close game they played was the A&M. Actually, that really wasn't even that close. That was the closest.
That close.
They beat Miami of Ohio 38-3. They beat A&M 48-33. So that was the game that they gave the most points.
That's a statement win.
Bethune-Cookman 48-7. Temple 41-7, not giving up any points. Georgia Tech, tight game, played well. It was 2017. That happens, and then they give up. They lose 23-20.
Yeah, so they were literally dominating teams.
Yeah.
That was their worst game of the year. You're supposed to escape with a win, and just because your
So
head coach is
4-1.
too stubborn to kneel it.
0-1 in conference. Now they got to play North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Louisville still in the schedule.
Yeah.
That's tough right
Good
there.
luck keeping the boys on board after that.
That's a great mistake of the day. That's a bad move.
Terrible. I've never seen anything like it. That gives. Les had some his clock management issues. That was never an issue.
No clock management issues like that. That's a bad one.
That's being stubborn. All right. Curtain Call is brought to you by our friends at Assured Partners.
And
me.
Okay.
For all your insurance needs, commercial insurance needs, give me a shout. What we got?
I'm gonna lead it. My curtain call is going to go to either the Falcons production team or whatever third-party production team that's coming to that stadium in Atlanta and keeps giving us this absolute hot sauce of a view right here.
Hot sauce, good word.
Good God. And Bijan is, bro, he is as advertised, bro.
Bijan faked it behind the back.
This view is just crazy, bro. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
I don't know how this isn't in every.
This looks like a video game.
It does. I don't even understand it. I'm surprised it's not in every single
They're the only
stadium
people
that
doing
has it. Yeah, it's the only one, and they're somehow just killing it right now with it. So My curtain call goes to that because I could watch a million of those all over.
That's pretty sick. What you got?
My curtain call goes to former LSU legend Glenn Dorsey gets his jersey retired, his high school jersey retired. And just to see his reaction and see him.
I feel like this should have happened a long time ago.
This should have happened a long time ago. And when we say LSU legend, like this might be one of the most accomplished players ever to walk through LSU. Ever. Like this dude was it. And I got the pleasure of playing with him early, so this is dope. I don't know how this happened.
He looks like he still could play.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know how this happened so late. This should have been happened.
But he's obviously still extremely thankful, and it was just great to see. Like, he looks like he could still play.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see one of the guys that I grew up watching and makes me love LSU football be able to get any kind of jersey retirement. Like, LSU should be next, but to get it done on the high school level is always special, it feels like.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Much deserved, dude.
The air horn has never left
and I heard
high
he's
school
a great
football.
Guy.
Great dude.
I heard he's one of the best.
Great dude, bro.
That's awesome. All right, my curtain call is to the Jets social media account, right? The Jets, listen, there's been a lot of things happening with the New York Jets, some good, some bad. Before the season started, had a bunch of drama between Sean Payton and the New York Jets, right? And I've been one to say, like, I enjoy this back and forth because I think it brings a little bit different vibe and it gives them more publicity to the NFL. Especially when they do it funny and creatively and not like annoying. No doubt, right, except of course. And so anyway, the Broncos play the Jets. Broncos have not had a good season. Sean Payton is the coach of the Denver Broncos. They have not had a good year. And Russell Wilson had a chance to win the game.
Broncos country.
And does not fumble. He fumbles. Gets returned for a touchdown. The Jets win. They beat the Broncos. Right? Jets are somehow staying alive. That was the Jets tweet. And if you don't get it, Sean Payton, coach for the Broncos, and Sean Payton had a movie made about him on Netflix. And
it was about when he got suspended for Bountygate and went home to coach his high school.
They decided
that the meme god. This man is all over social media right now, and the Jets hop on the opportunity, and now you see him again. He's been getting big on the hands in the pockets, the guy.
Mm-hmm. And that's who they thought was going to play
personified Sean Payton.
And so the Jets just, did a nice little thing. I thought it was very, very funny, entertaining, and it's like, hey, you know what? We're not going to talk shit. We're just going to drop something funny. And I don't care who you are. Like, you probably chuckled at that at some point. So.
Not Sean Payton.
Maybe so.
I think he might have too.
He may have.
Maybe.
Like, damn, they got me.
It wouldn't have happened right after the game.
No. That's all we got for today.
Good show.
Monday. Good show, boys.
Got the G Squad.
Shout out to G coming in, making a guest appearance. Shout out to Ricardo for coming in, teaching us some more law stuff. Looking forward to being back with you on Wednesday. We'll be back live in studio from 6 to 8 p.m. Special guest coming in studio for an interview with us. Is going to be a consistent guest on the show, it seems like, moving forward. And I think it's going to give us a lot of football insight. Drop some big knowledge, has been around some of the best players in the country, some of the best players still playing in the NFL. A lot of respect around the football world, and friends of ours. And we're looking forward to having him on the show consistently. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you don't like watching us, you can't watch us. Please, we're anywhere you get your podcasts. My medicine's wearing off too. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Hope if you're going to do some live betting like Lloyd, hope you win. We'll be back on Wednesday. Peace.